Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by Civic Center IAS, where we try to discuss the top 10 important topics for prelims for the day from the Hindu, the Indian Express, and the PIB. Displayed are the list of topics which we have chosen for today's discussion. The first article talks about the PM POSHAN Scheme. Know that the PM POSHAN Scheme stands for Pradhan Mantri POSHAN Shakti Nirman Scheme. See, it is a centrally sponsored scheme under one hot cooked meal is served to 11.7 crore students studying in Balvatka and classes 1 to 8 in 10.24 lakh government and government aided schools on all school days. Furthermore, the scheme aims at providing nutritional support and enhancing school participation of students. So, PM POSHAN, earlier known as the National Program of Midday Meal in Schools, is a right-based centrally sponsored scheme under the National Food Security Act of 2013. Know that it aims to improve the nutritional status of children's classes 1 to 8 in eligible schools across India. Now, what are the key objectives under the scheme? Firstly, to enhance the nutritional intake of children in government and government aided schools. Secondly, to increase school attendance by encouraging the students from disadvantaged backgrounds to attend school regularly and better focus on classes. And lastly, to provide nutritional support to children in areas affected by drought or disasters during the summer vacation. Now, these are the nutrition and food norms under the scheme, and these are the food norms under the scheme. Now, if we look at the financial support and components under the scheme, firstly, with respect to food grains, they are supplied at the NFSA rate, which is 1 rupee per kg for coarse grains, 2 rupee per kg for wheat and 3 rupee per kg for rice. Furthermore, the supply of 100 grams per child per day for primary and 150 grams per upper primary. Now, looking at the cooking cost, see for the primary it is 4.97 rupees per child per day, whereas for the upper primary students it's 7.45 per child per day. Furthermore, a honorarium of 1000 rupees per cook per month is provided for 10 months. Also, with respect to transportation assistance, the cost for transporting food grains from FCI go down to schools is like bore. At the same point of time, a maximum of 1500 per million tons, metric tons for most of the states, excluding Northeast and Himalayan states. Then, with respect to management, monitoring and evaluation, 3% of the total cost is given under the scheme. Furthermore, the provision for the meals during the summer vacation in drought or disaster affected areas. And also for the kitchen cum store, a 20 square meter for schools with 100 students and additional 4 square meters for every individual for 100 students. The second article of the day says that keen to hold wider consultations on the proposed bills to implement simultaneous elections to the Lok Sabha, assemblies and local bodies, the union government may bring these bills as early as the ongoing winter session of parliament, according to a government source. In this context, we'll talk about the One Nation, One Election. See, the simultaneous elections, popularly referred to as One Nation, One Election, means holding the elections to Lok Sabha, all state assemblies, and also the urban and rural local bodies at the same time. Currently, all these elections are held independently of one another, following the timelines dictated by the terms of every individual elected body. Furthermore, the concept of the One Nation, One Election envisions a system in which all state and Lok Sabha elections must be held simultaneously. Significantly, this will entail restructuring the Indian election cycle so that the elections to the states and the centre coincide. So, this would imply that the voters will vote for members of the Lok Sabha and state assemblies on the same day and at the same time. Now, if you have to look at the historical perspective of this simultaneous elections, see the first general election of Free India held simultaneously to the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies in 1951. Also, the next three cycles whichever are there of the elections also witnessed the same simultaneous elections, barring a few stray cases like where the Kerala, where a mid-term election was held in 1960 on premature dissolution of the assembly, and in Nagaland, Pondicherry, where the assembly was created only after the 1962 elections. So some of the other countries where simultaneous elections are held are Germany, Japan, Indonesia, Philippines and Belgium. The third article of the day says that Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi today launched the Bima Sakhi Yojana of Life Insurance Corporation in line with his commitment to women empowerment, financial inclusion in Panipat and Haryana. Now, what are the key objectives and features of it? See, this Fasal Bima Yojana, the objective of it is that it aims to empower women by enabling them to work as insurance agents for LIC, providing employment opportunities and contributing to financial inclusion. Now, who all are eligible for this? Firstly, the woman aged between 18 to 70 years are eligible, and secondly, the woman has to just have a 10th class certificate. Now, with respect to training and stipend, the woman will be trained as insurance agents with a stipend of 7,000 rupees in the first year, 6,000 rupees in the second year, and 5,000 rupees in the third year. Also, in addition to that, the agents can earn commissions based on the insurance policies as well. Furthermore, the program aims to recruit 2 lakh Bima Sakhis in the next 3 years. Now, the focus areas of it are promoting the financial literacy, insurance awareness and expansion of LIC services, and lastly, ensuring social security for families. After successful completion of this, Bima Sakhis can qualify for roles like development officer in LIC. Now, what is the economic and social impact of Bima Sakhi Yojana? Firstly, this scheme aligns with the government's broader vision of empowering women through the financial independence. And secondly, with respect to the economic inclusion, the Bima Sakhis will have the potential to earn a 1.75 lakh annually, significantly improving their economic status. And the state contributes to insurance for all initiative by providing social security to underinsured populations. And significantly, the program aims to provide jobs in rural areas, enhancing the role of women in rural economy and insurance sectors. So, if you can look at the collections with respect to other schemes, and these are the broader initiatives for women and rural development. The next article talks about the National Mission on Cultural Mapping. See, this mission, initiated by the Ministry of Culture under the Government of India, focuses on identifying and documenting India's cultural heritage to regenerate rural economies and promote self-reliance in village India. Now, if we have to look at the key objectives of the mission, firstly, with respect to identification and documentation, to catalog India's cultural heritage and creative potential and further support rural economic revitalization. Secondly, with respect to the awareness creation, to highlight the role of cultural heritage in development and identity building. And thirdly, to enable strategic planning for sustainable rural growth through cultural insights. Now, if you have to look at the current status of the scheme, firstly, it is with respect to the Mera Gaon Meri Darohar portal. See, this is an open access platform providing state-wise and district-wise data on cultural mapping and which is available on the MGMD portal. Then, with respect to the data uploaded, see, the data of 4.5 lakh villages of nationwide villages information is uploaded, and also the 14,131 villages from Andhra Pradesh with district-wise data accessible on the MGMD portal. Now, what are the expected outcomes out of this mission? Firstly, to strengthen the rural economies by leveraging cultural and creative assets. Secondly, enhanced awareness and pride in cultural identity, contributing to sustainable development in villages. The next article says that the Centre on Monday announced the appointment of Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra as the 26th Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, a day before incumbent Shankit Dada's 6-year term comes to an end. Furthermore, the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India is the Chief Executive Officer of India's Central Bank and the ex officio chair of its Central Board of Directors. In this context, we'll talk about the various aspects related to his appointment. See, how is the RBI Governor appointed? See, the appointment of the RBI Governor is governed by the RBI Act of 1934, which empowers the central government to appoint the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Now, looking at the selection process, the Financial Sector Regulatory Appointment Search Committee plays a key role in selection process, and this committee consists of the Cabinet Secretary as a chairperson, the current RBI Governor, the Financial Services Secretary, and 2 independent experts. And lastly, the committee prepares a list of eligible candidates for the position of RBI Governor. Then, the shortlisted candidates who are there are interviewed, and the final list is forwarded to the Cabinet Committee on Appointments, which is headed by the Prime Minister. Then the CCA confirms the appointment of the RBI Governor. If we have to look at the tenure and the reappointment, see, the RBI Governor's tenure is typically fixed at the time of the appointment but cannot exceed 5 years. But also, the Governor is eligible for reappointment or extension as decided by the government. So these are the role and duties of the RBI Governor. You can just have a look. The next article says that Supreme Court of India on Monday asked a petitioner seeking application of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act or the PoSH Act of 2013 in political parties to first approach the Election Commission of India. In this context, we'll talk about the various provisions of the PoSH Act of 2013. See, the PoSH Act is a legislation enacted by the Government of India in the year 2013 to address the issue of sexual harassment faced by women in the workplace. Furthermore, this act aims to create a safe and conducive environment for women and provide protection against sexual harassment. Significantly, the PoSH Act defines sexual harassment to include unwelcome acts such as physical contact and sexual advances, a demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, and any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. Now, what is the background for it? See, the Supreme Court in a landmark judgment in the Vishaka and others versus State of Rajasthan 1997 case gave Vishaka guidelines. So, these guidelines form the basis for Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013. Now, if you have to look at the key provisions, firstly, the Act defines the sexual harassment to include unwelcome acts such as physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct, a demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, etc. Furthermore, it lists down the 5 circumstances that would constitute to sexual harassment, which are implied or explicit promise of preferential treatment in employment, implied or explicit treatment to detrimental treatment in employment, then implied or explicit threat about present or future employment status, and lastly, interference with work or creating an intimidating or offensive or hostile work environment. Also, the Act defines an employee not just in accordance with the company law, but all women employees, whether employed regularly, temporarily, contractually, or an ad hoc basis or daily wage basis as apprentices or interns can seek redressal to sexual harassment in the workplace. Lastly, it expands the definition of workplace to beyond traditional offices to include all kinds of organizations across sectors, even the non-traditional workplaces, for example, telecommunicating maybe, and the places visited by the employees for work. The next article says that the Supreme Court exercised its extraordinary powers under Article 142 of the Constitution to grant permanent commission to a woman army officer with a distinguished service record who was wrongly excluded from the consideration when other similarly placed officers were given the benefit. In this context, we'll talk about the Article 142 of the Constitution of India. See, the Article 142 provides discretionary power to the power of the Supreme Court. So, the Supreme Court in the exercise of its jurisdiction may pass such decree or may such order as is necessary for doing a complete justice in any case or matter pending before it. Furthermore, the Supreme Court to exercise executive and legislative functions in specific scenarios, including issuing guidelines, directives, or orders to government bodies or other authorities. Also, it permits the Supreme Court to intervene in matters concerning public interest, human rights, constitutional values, or fundamental rights, safeguarding them against any form of violation or infringement. Also, it elevates the Supreme Court's role as the protector of the Constitution and ultimate interpreter of the law, serving as a catalyst for judicial activism. So, to check how it's exactly written in the Constitution, you can have a look. Then, what are the objectives of this article? See, Article 142 of the Constitution of India provides a unique power to the Supreme Court to do complete justice between the parties, where at times the law or the statute may not provide a remedy. So, in those situations, the court can attend itself to put an end to a dispute in a manner that would fit the facts of the case. The next article says that the Supreme Court orally remarked that a long-term response to problems of food security was to generate employment, even as the advocate Prashant Bhushan said the National NFSA Act continued to be driven by the figures from 2011 census. In this context, we'll look at the various aspects related to National Food Security Act of 2013, in short called the NFSA. See, it was notified on 10th September 2013 with an objective to provide for the food and nutrition security in the human life cycle approach by ensuring access to adequate quantities of quality food at affordable prices to the people to live a life with dignity. Then, with respect to the coverage, 75% of the rural population and up to 50% of the urban population for receiving subsidized food grains under targeted public distribution system. So, overall, NFSA caters to 67% of the total population. Now, there are two categories of beneficiary households under it. Firstly, Antyodaya Anna Yojana households to receive 35 kg of food grains monthly. Secondly, priority households are there where each PHH member gets 5 kg of food grains monthly, including the rice at 3 rupees per kg, wheat at 2 rupees per kg, and coarse grain at 1 rupee per kg. Then, with respect to the coverage under NFSA, see the 5 kgs of food grains per person per month at rupees 321 per kg for rice, wheat, and coarse grains. Then, the existing AAY households will continue to receive 35 kgs of food grains per household per month. Then furthermore, the meal and maternity benefit of not less than 6,000 rupees to pregnant women and lactating mothers during pregnancy and 6 months after the childbirth. Also, the meals for children up to 14 years of age, food security allowance to beneficiaries in case of non-supply of entitled food grains or meals, and then lastly, setting up of grievance redressal mechanisms at the district and the state levels. The next article says that opposition parties in the India bloc have decided to move a notice to remove chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, Jagdeep Dhankar, from his office. In this context, we'll talk about the Vice President of India, specifically the removal of his process. See, the Vice President of India is the second highest constitutional office in the country after the President of India. So, the Vice President is accorded a rank next to the President in the official warrant of the Presidents. Furthermore, the Vice President serves as the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of the Indian Parliament. Now, what is the procedure for his removal? See, Article 67 of the Constitution says that Vice President may be removed from the office with a resolution passed by a majority of members in the Rajya Sabha. So, the House of the People or the Lok Sabha has to agree to the resolution as well. So, he can be removed by a resolution passed by a majority of all the then members of the Rajya Sabha, which is the effective majority, and agreed to by the Lok Sabha with a simple majority. This means that this resolution should be passed in the Rajya Sabha by an effective majority and Lok Sabha by a simple majority. But here it must be noted that the effective majority in India is only a type of special majority and not a separate one. Further, this resolution can be introduced only in Rajya Sabha and not in the Lok Sabha. But no such resolution can be moved unless at least 14 days advance the notice had been given. The last article of the day says that as many as 25 lakh pensioners have enrolled so far for the Ayushman Vandana card senior citizens aged 70 and above, which was launched on October 29th. This followed Prime Minister Narendra Modi's announcement of expansion of the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana to include all senior citizens. In this context, we'll talk about the relevant aspects. Firstly, talking about the Ayushman Bharat scheme. See, it is a flagship scheme of the Government of India, which was launched as recommended by the National Health Policy of 2017 to achieve vision of universal health coverage. Significantly, this initiative has been designed to meet the sustainable development goals and its underlying commitment, which is to leave no one behind. So, the Ayushman Bharat, whichever is there, adopts a continuum of care approach comprising of two interrelated components, which are health and wellness centers and Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So, firstly, with respect to the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana for senior citizens, see, in 2024, the Union Cabinet approved a major expansion of this PMJAY to provide all senior citizens aged 70 and above with free health insurance coverage up to 5 lakh regardless of the income. Now, with respect to the key developments under it, firstly, senior citizens aged 70 and above will receive free hospital treatment and a separate Jan Vandana card under the Jan Arogya Yojana scheme. So, the top-up coverage, senior citizens with the PMJAY covered families will get an additional top-up of 5 lakhs per year exclusive to them without sharing with other family members under 17. Thirdly, senior citizens not covered under an existing PMJAY family plan will receive up to 5 lakhs per year on a family basis. So the senior citizens clearly and already enrolled in other public health schemes can choose to continue with the current scheme or switch to PMJAY. Lastly, senior citizens with the private health insurance or coverage under the Employees State Insurance Scheme are also eligible for the benefits under the PMJAY. Now, with respect to the Ayushman Vandana card, see, it is universal and there is no restriction on income, be it poor or middle class or upper class. So, every senior citizen above age of the 70 will receive free treatment in hospitals. So, these senior citizens will be issued the Ayushman Vandana card. Know that it operates under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and it aims to provide free universal healthcare access to senior citizens above 70 years, ensuring they can avail of the necessary treatments without financial burdens. Now, who are eligible under the scheme? See, all Indian citizens aged 70 years or older are eligible regardless of the income or economic status. Furthermore, these are the features under the scheme. You can have a look. So in this video, we have discussed 10 articles in total for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.